Well, thank you all for joining. I know I've met at least one or two of you. I'm Mackenzie Sullivan. I am the Director of Graduate Student Career Services for the College of Liberal Arts, which means I do all things related to careers for you all, plus staff and faculty at the University of Minnesota on the graduate side of things. With me is my colleague, Jennifer Kaufman, who is going to be running the show here. So if anyone has any technical issues, let us know. We are recording and transcribing this. So hopefully folks can see that, can see the transcription, and just know that we are recording. When we get to the question part, we may stop the recording just so people can ask. We're going to go through a variety of career services today, and then I know we might get into some more deeper questions. And so we will probably at that point stop the recording, just in case people don't want their questions recorded. But for now, let's go ahead and get started. I welcome you to, I don't think this is the right word, but unmute your camera. If you are able to do that, if you're eating lunch, that is totally fine. It always helps me when I present to be able to see a few faces so I know if I'm hitting home with messages. Knowing also that sometimes it's just not possible for people because they're in a variety of circumstances. But if you're willing, go ahead and do that. So what I want to do today is just go through a brief overview of some of the services that we have available for students. I know we have one staff member here who is a GPC, and to know that, of course, we also have services available for staff and faculty as they're looking to help advise their students. But part of that, of course, is just knowing what we do have available. So I'm going to do a brief overview of sort of what is available, and then I truly do want to open it up for questions, either about resources that we have available and or career questions that you might have, either related to the speaker that we had yesterday or the day before, Len Casuto, I can't remember which day, or just career questions that you might have. So why don't we go ahead and get started. So I serve students in the arts, humanities, and social sciences within the graduate school. That's PhD, some of our other programs that start with the P, that are maybe our more professional focused programs, and our master's degree students. So that is essentially what my office does. And so the top here is just a link to our website where you can find most of the resources that we're going to be talking about today. We're going through a little bit of a website update where we will have more specific resources and also a couple of things that aren't linked to our website right at this minute. We hope to get that done in the next month or two. So what I want to do is just mention a few things, and then we're going to take a quick look at what those resources look like, and then we'll open it up for questions. And so for some of you who I have worked with before, some of this will just be a review, like I've seen that before, I've worked in that tool before. So that's why we're just going to spend a brief amount of time. So a couple online platforms beyond the Professoriate, which is a job search platform, although it is, a lot of the language is talking about PhDs. It's very useful for our research-based master's students as well. It's sort of looking at jobs outside the realm of traditional tenure track faculty types of roles. So it works both for the PhD population and for the master's degrees. Imagine PhD is a career exploration site that we'll take a little bit of a look at. So that's really, how do you figure out what you want to do? On our webpage, we do have a Google group where I send out career opportunities. A lot of those are job postings. They might also be workshops that I feel like are relevant to our students. I try to not send out anything that isn't going to be broadly applicable, that isn't of interest to our students, or that doesn't seem to kind of meet the standards of what we're looking for. So I don't send out an overwhelming number of things, but it's my way of getting out messages to folks about real-time opportunities that are happening. The Maroon and Gold Network, we'll take a quick look at that. That's a way for students to connect with alumni who have said, I am specifically interested in talking with students and other alumni about things related to careers. So it's a really good way to connect with folks, do some, quote unquote networking. I really think of networking as another form of research for you all to figure out some things that might, jobs that might be interesting to you, and also get some tips on how people are looking for jobs. Sometimes alumni are even really willing to help you with the process. And so I know that's a great resource for you. We will quickly look at how you schedule an appointment with me. I think most folks have been able to figure that out. Every once in a while that gets a little glitchy, but I do have an online scheduling platform, so we don't have to go back and forth what works for whom. Just there's appointment slots that are available to you, and then a little bit of information on our internship program. So with that, I want to stop the sharing of this screen, go over to my other screen, but any quick questions before we take a quick look through what those resources are? Feel free, again, to unmute yourself, raise a virtual hand, or type things in the chat. Jennifer will be monitoring the chat, so if you don't feel like speaking out loud, which of course I do welcome you to do, it's a very small group here, you absolutely can type a question in the chat and we'll get to it that way. Okay, seeing no questions, let's do a tour over to the other screen here. So let's see, am I sharing the right screen, Jen? Okay, so this is what our website looks like. Again, it's going under a revamp. It will get more useful. Right now, there's a whole lot of scrolling and everything's kind of in one list. It's just where we are right now. It will get a little bit better. This is over here, request a virtual career consultation. That's where you can just schedule an appointment with me. You don't have to know exactly what you want to talk about. You don't have to have the right question. Often students will ask me to review a resume, and that's fine, which it often brings up larger questions too, but just know you don't have to come in having the right question to ask. We'll figure that out. Some of the things I do with students is help them figure out what they might want to do post-graduation. We'll look over resumes and cover letters. We'll discuss resources. We'll talk about how you connect with alumni. We can practice interviewing. When you get to that stage, we can talk about how do you negotiate different aspects of your job. And then how do you become effective when you're moving into that job? So those are some of the things that I do individually with students. So that's sort of the section about, you want to meet, you have some questions, or you just want to get started, and that's how you would do that. Let's then take a quick look at the Maroon and Gold Network, the platform that I mentioned. And so this is, I think of it as kind of an electronic Rolodex, an electronic way of finding out people who you might be interested in talking with. So if I go into the section about network, you will see, it always takes a while to load, but there are about 7,000, I think we're now at what, 6,742 alumni who have signed up. This is a newish platform, I think 3 or 4 years. So the people who have signed up in this platform are saying, I'm willing to talk to students. You won't get 100% response when you reach out through this network because people are busy, but you get a pretty good response. Anybody out there familiar with LinkedIn or has used it in any small way or has a profile on LinkedIn? Hands? Yes, okay, see at least one person, yep. I think about Maroon and Gold Network as sort of our own private LinkedIn. So it's a LinkedIn that's for the University of Minnesota. So it has many of the same functionalities. If you can find alumni in there, you can chat with them. It's a searchable tool. So I can look at, maybe I'm interested in talking with folks who are in the College of Liberal Arts. And I would like to talk to somebody who is currently working in, let's say, community and social service. And I can apply those filters and it will pop up with 192 exact matches, right? There's many more filters. You can look at people who are PhDs, you can look at people who are in certain locations, you can look by certain companies. But if that was my idea of people I'd want to talk to, I could look and say, here's all the people who have said they're willing to talk to me. Some of them will be students, some of them will be alumni. You'll find staff members, faculty in here. But if I'm interested in, here's somebody who looks like a social justice advocate. I could click into Megan's profile and see what she does and be able to message her and be able to talk with her. Now she looks like a recent alum, so maybe she's a student, you're going to find alum there in there too. But that's the way you would use this platform, as a way to do some online research of people who may be doing things that you're interested in. So any questions about that? Okay, so seeing none, we don't need to move to my calendar. Nobody needs to see that. Let's talk about the Beyond the Professoriate platform. This is a platform that I think about can be used in two capacities. One is for folks who are like, I am just looking for some inspiration of what I might do with my academic-based career. So again, this is a lot, you'll see a lot of language around PhD, but it's very applicable to our MA students as well. They have a video library of 221, what I would consider informational interviews. The founder of the platform has gone out and interviewed people. It's everything from UX research to working in social services, folks who work within higher ed and staff roles. You can filter by your interests, your values, and you can click find a person who's doing something interesting. I recommend you don't have to watch these. You can put them on while you're cleaning the house. They're basically like a podcast. And it's just a way to learn about what some other folks are doing. So that's one functionality of this platform. The other thing that I think is very useful is they actually have a course called Professional Careers. They have an equivalent course for academic careers, and I think that is very good to know about as well. If your department maybe doesn't provide enough support around how do I write a diversity statement, what does an academic cover letter look like, how do I get my materials together, that's also in the academic course section. And so that's a super useful tool. Today, we're talking a little bit more about things that are useful outside that job search, looking at jobs that are beyond the professoriate, but know that academic course is also very good. The professional job search course is basically in, I think it's now 12 modules, leading you through everything from how do I identify what I want to do, how do the skills that I've learned in my graduate program and other experiences translate to other sectors. From there, once I've identified some things that I want to do and some skills that I might have, how do I translate that into the job market? How do I write a resume that's different from a CV? How do I negotiate? And so it's sort of a self-paced course. It's pretty in-depth. I have yet to have a student who's told me they've gone all the way through it, but I do know that folks will pick and choose and say, like, I'm really interested in the resume section. I want to take a look at that. So it's a pretty in-depth, long resource, but very useful for folks who are pretty committed to the job search and really want to work through some curriculum. I often work through it with students. So if they're saying, I want to look at it, I want to write a resume, I'll say, go take a look at this, get it into this format and we'll take a review of it. But it's a very useful way to get started. Okay, questions about that? Okay, next thing I want to just take a quick tour through is we have developed, based on our internship program, our own course. In many ways, this will mirror what the Beyond the Professoriate course could do. It's just much more condensed, shortened. We've tailored it specifically for our particular student populations, art sciences and humanities students, social science and humanities students. The exercises are shorter, and so it's just a little bit less in depth. And so many students find it more usable because of that. I recommend both, depending on kind of where you are in your job search, but we've built this specifically for our students to use either as individuals. We also have built it to use in small groups. I highly recommend that. If you have a group of friends or colleagues who are willing to do this with you, we've built facilitated sessions where you can get together with your small group, help each other go through your resume, look through your transferable skill list. We built guides so that you can do that in an effective way. So that is available. It's a Canvas course, you self-enroll, and it's available to you as sort of a quicker way of moving through a job search if Beyond the Professoriate feels like too much of a lift for where you are right now. I think the last thing I want to talk about is, well, a couple other things. If you are interested, again, like we talked about, in receiving real-time career announcements, that's our career opportunity announcements. We send out a broader newsletter that does include career information in our CLA Graduate Lighthouse newsletter that also has some student services information. The last thing I want to talk about is our internship program. We every year fund somewhere between 9 and 12 students to go through curriculum to help you learn how to find an internship, land that internship, and then if that internship is unpaid or low paid, we will supplement you up to the last 2 years. It's been $5,000 for the summer for a 20% appointment, essentially what folks get for being a TA or an RA, to be able to complete that internship over the summer. And so we will be running that again this year. It may be in the fall to give students a little bit more leeway and run time moving into internships. And you will certainly, when that's ready to be rolled out, you'll get a notice about that. You can sign up for, again, either the Lighthouse or the Career Opportunities group, and you would get a notice about when we're rolling that out. So that is my broad overview of kind of the things that are available to you. We try to curate so that it's not super overwhelming, but I do know that a job search in general is overwhelming. And so I always recommend that as you're thinking about using resources, that you're also in contact with me whenever I can be useful, because the one thing I do know is this just tends to feel fairly overwhelming to folks. And so I'm always here to advise you on how you might take the next steps. I don't think I have anything else to mention. Oh, one other thing to mention, next year, the University of Minnesota will be hosting the Humanities Without Walls pre-doctoral workshop. I'm not sure of how many of you are in the humanities, but it's a national workshop for 2 weeks that deals a lot with the topics that we've talked about. Because we're hosting it, we'll get a few additional student slots. And so just know that will be, I think the announcement will be coming out for that. For applications, I think comes out as early as maybe, I don't know, this fall sometime. Anyway, that will also be put out through a variety of means so that you know about